The blizzard howled, a merciless whiteout that cared little for plans or power. Inside a tiny, forgotten cabin, two worlds collided. Meet Leo, a single dad whose life revolved around packing lunches and scraping by, his hands rough from a lifetime of hard work. And then there's Adrian, the CEO, a man whose world was sculpted from glass and steel, his phone a permanent extension of his hand. They were strangers forced together by the storm's fury. Leo was on his way to a crucial job interview, the kind that could finally give him and his daughter a bit of breathing room. Adrian was rushing to close a multi-million-dollar deal, another notch on his belt of corporate conquests. Their cars, now buried under feet of snow, were just meters apart on a deserted mountain road. The nearest town, a treacherous snow-choked memory. Their only refuge was this dusty cabin, a relic from another time. The first few hours were a silent war. Adrian paced like a caged tiger, his expensive suit looking comically out of place against the rustic wood. He barked into his dead phone, cursing the lack of signal, the storm, the sheer inconvenience of it all. To him, Leo was just part of the scenery, an obstacle. Leo, meanwhile, was quietly resourceful. He found firewood, coaxed a fire to life in the old stone hearth, and located a forgotten stash of canned soup. He worked with a calm efficiency that Adrian, for all his boardroom bravado, could only watch with a mixture of annoyance and grudging respect. "My daughter," Leo said softly, breaking the tense silence as he stirred the soup. "She'll be worried. I promised I'd call her after the interview." He pulled a worn photo from his wallet, a smiling girl with a missing front tooth. The raw, unguarded love in his eyes was something Adrian hadn't encountered in a boardroom. It was disarming. For the first time, Adrian saw not an obstacle, but a man, a father. The storm raged on for 3 days. 3 days that felt like a lifetime. The cabin became their entire universe. The rigid lines between CEO and single dad began to blur. Adrian, stripped of his emails and conference calls, started to talk. He spoke of the immense pressure, the loneliness at the top, the sacrifices he'd made. He admitted he barely knew his own family, always chasing the next deal, the next quarter's profits. Leo listened. He didn't judge. He shared his own stories of bedtime stories, scraped knees, and the simple, profound joy of watching his daughter grow. He talked about the fear of not being enough, a fear that, surprisingly, Adrian understood all too well, albeit in a different context. They discovered a common ground in their shared humanity, in their vulnerabilities that were usually hidden behind a paycheck or a power suit. On the third day, the storm broke. The sun glistened on a world reborn in white. As the sound of a snowplow grew closer, a strange quiet fell between them. Adrian looked at his expensive watch, a symbol of a life he was no longer sure he wanted to rush back to. "Leo," he said, his voice different, softer. "That interview, the job is yours. But I have another offer. I need someone who can see people, not just numbers. Someone who knows what's actually important." Leo smiled, a genuine, tired smile. The snowstorm had taken them off their planned paths, but it had led them somewhere far more important. It led them back to themselves. As they stepped out into the bright, clean world, they weren't a CEO and a single dad anymore. They were just two men who had found an unexpected connection in the heart of a storm, forever changed by the warmth of a simple fire and the power of a shared story.